Kanpai!
Welcome, one and all, to episode 126 of Kanpai Cast. Today's topic is how anime portrays gender, and we are joined by a very special guest today. But before we get into that, I think it's time for a little housekeeping, which is the usual YouTube gumph. Like, comment, subscribe, visit the Patreon, visit the Kanpai Cast Discord, visit Xeno's Discord, go see them stream on Twitch and YouTube, and of course follow all the links in the description below, because we will have links to the memes, links to socials, and links to the social of our lovely guest today. So, is there any other order of business? Do we have anything else to...
Introduction of the guest would help.
Well, yeah, we're about to get on to that.
Checking.
We're done with the housekeeping,
Okay.
Yes. And no other housekeeping?
No.
Excellent.
There's a
So,
guest to introduce.
ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between out there on the internet and here in the Kanpai Cast studio with us, today's guest is Anna from TwoStarPlayers. Okay? We have recently had, well, not so recently, but we have friend of the channel Nick on the show in past episodes, and it's a great pleasure to have Anna with us today. Especially as we are not really qualified to talk about the topic without some kind of modifying presence here. So,
Actually, neither am I.
outstanding. That means we can all be bad at this together.
But if we take the American approach, we're all experts.
That's right.
Yes.
That is true.
If you just speak, loudly enough and with enough confidence, people will just believe you. So let's just
I
let's
am
be
not
super
wrong.
confident.
And
I'm
I
not
just
arguing.
realized, right, that the usual, the reason we talk about this in the first place, a lot of it boils down to, men thinking they're good at something because they have a penis. And if I just translate that to this topic at hand, I guess me having the correct genitals means that I am, in fact, an expert on gender. So I take everything back. I am qualified.
Yeah.
That's exactly the
100%.
point. We're not arguing, we're just loudly explaining why we're right.
Yep, no.
Right.
Exactly. So, we'll usually start out our guest episodes with just a few questions for our lovely guests. So, just a few for you, Anna. Welcome, as we say. What do you do on the internets? Okay, for all our audience out there.
Nowadays, it's all very sad. It's work. And I read Reddit when I'm half brain dead after work. And I watch Netflix and I feel old. That's literally all I do on the internet nowadays.
I swear you're younger than all of us.
You are younger than all of us.
I'm
Oh,
sure
God.
you're...
I'm so sorry.
You
I'm almost the perfect number this year.
Well, it's just, I guess it's like you should only feel old if that's also all you do on the internet, but...
No, I think that's
I know
that's
that...
all you ever do. You should only feel about 13 if that's all you ever do on the internet.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I know that you used to do a lot of Let's Plays and stuff with your husband.
I was going to say that. So I used to do more on the internet, but nowadays we are married with a kid and the day is only 24 hours long and I tried to spend most of that sleeping.
I can appreciate that.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Everyone that I've said, I've known that's gone through the same process in any way has said exactly that at this point in the general scheme of things.
Yeah, so I might get
never
back
small
to
children.
that. Definitely, so then you can find us on our YouTube channel, which is called TwoStarPlayers. Or you can watch our archive. Wonderful stuff.
Yes, you can.
We can watch
Both
Nick eat a ghost
fantastic.
pepper.
Yes, you can.
You cannot
Or was it
do
Carolina
that
Reaper?
on that was actually not on our YouTube channel. He did that for his Pull and Ball YouTube channel, which is Pull and Ball Official, also very good. But
Fair
not
point.
does
Fun
not
times.
include any content from me. In fact, could stand to include more content from women.
Yeah.
Definitely can. Yep.
Yeah, Nick, get on it.
Yeah, Nick.
So, getting a little bit back on the topic of the show, how did you get into anime?
I married a dude. He's really into anime. That's literally it. No, it's like I did not really grow up with anime because it's like that wasn't something in our household. So the only anime I was aware of, and that kind of spoils, I think the next question is Sailor Moon, and I didn't even know what it was or that it was an anime. It was just something a friend I had watched occasionally, and I only saw it at her house. Okay. But outside of like old like Mickey Mouse things, our household wasn't really into cartoons. It was just like that and just Disney movies. So anime is weird when you learn about it as a fully grown adult.
See, I think Disney children are a good start for getting into anime because apparently that's how Japan got into anime. Fairly sure.
Yeah, the very early stuff. For sure, like Astro Boy.
So this is gonna be embarrassing, but it's like when I was in university, like I did have roommates, and we're like everyone was talking about anime. So I'm like, okay, what is this? And I just went to. I get my timeline mixed up, whatever you used to download things at the time to torrent things. I think it was way after Napster, but I forget what it was. And I just typed anime and just downloaded something. And it was porn.
Of course, yeah.
Of course it was porn, like in hindsight, but I didn't know anime porn was a thing, so I just thought hentai was a really popular anime because I saw it everywhere.
Okay.
So that's how late in the game I learned about anime. Is kind of my point.
And you wonder why most people think anime is just dirty Japanese cartoons,
You're not wrong.
It's not the incorrect statement. I mean, look at this current season of anime if you want any kind of proof of that.
Oh dear.
Oh my god. Should we move on to the next question?
Yes.
Before
kind of spoiled it. Right? You said your first
aside
anime.
from Sailor Moon, though, what was since you didn't realize that was an anime, what was your first real anime? And not the hentai either.
No.
You watched it specifically because it was anime.
I actually don't know if this counts, but I know so any anime that I've watched is most likely because Nick made me watch it, right? And so we had been together for, I want to say 3 months. I was at his place. Like, I literally traveled to another country to visit this guy that I've been dating for 3 months, and he made me watch Advent Children.
Oh, hey.
I had not played Final Fantasy at that point. He had just told me the entire plot of the game before watching the movie so that I could understand the movie, which I could not because it's a stupid movie. Does that count?
Even if you've played Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children is still a bit of a weird movie.
I have played it in the meantime. And it still doesn't make any sense.
It does count. Yes, it does count.
So that was my second anime, so to speak, that I watched. And I think then it was Berserk.
And somehow you still came... Okay, Berserk.
No, this is the amazing thing. Nasuth, this is the amazing thing. I think that this is a sign of just how strong your relationship is. That's what you went through, and you still married this guy.
I know.
So we will make sure we bring this. We will tease Nick about this later when we can.
Yeah, no, I think it's so funny to reflect on that. It's like
still
together within 10 years later.
Now that's a story you tell the grandchildren.
Yes, indeedy.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And so, kids, that was when I sat your mother down and spent 4 hours explaining the Final Fantasy VII lore, just so we could watch a movie.
Oh my god.
I swear that's what happened.
So, in the shorter time that you've been exposed to it, what is now your favourite, would you say?
I don't know if it counts as an anime. I think there's a debate to be had about it. But I would say Avatar: The Last Airbender because I know it's Western. It kind of looks like anime though, drawing style, and it is just plain one of my favorite TV shows, not just cartoon or whatever. So I'd have to go with that.
I give it an honorary anime badge. I like it.
Yeah. Leans really heavily into those anime tropes, has a very anime energy. And I have discussed this before, can a show not be anime but still have anime energy? I think we both decided at some one point or another that Avatar does fit.
Yeah, there's a lot of like controversy and things on the internet, of course, because everyone's an expert, and there are some people out there that say like if it wasn't intended for a Japanese audience, it can't be considered anime and things. But I feel it's just a case of like if it has that energy that anime often is used to portray their narrative, then yes, it can be. So.
Also, if King of the Hill can be popular in Japan, then Avatar: The Last Airbender could be. Just saying.
I'm also kind of surprised you didn't say Frieren.
That's a good one.
Frieren hasn't finished yet, though, so you can't positively say.
I can't.
Sorry.
It's like it hasn't gone to a point where I can say that, and it kind of goes into what I think my answer for your last point should be. What's an unpopular anime opinion you have? Which is that
Go on.
anime should stop trying to do German. I really like Frieren. There's no two ways about it, right? But it constantly yanks me out of everything that's happening with the absolutely terrible names of everyone and everything. It's like, you're watching like a really cool story and everyone's just called Beep Boop, or something. Like it's like, and you're like, I can't even tell what you guys were going for, but it just takes you out of it a bit. But
do you have any examples?
Well, there. What was this? Shit. I'm so bad at remembering names. I would have to look at I would have to look at like a couple of names, but it's like there was one guy where I was like, you can literally tell that someone just typed something into a translator and just picked the wrong connotation maybe of it and just picked like a word that says something completely different. And I only realized it after watching their entire story arc to where I'm like, oh, that's probably what they meant originally, right? So.
Yeah.
It's like every time in Bang Bravern when they say Smisu instead of Smith, and it's like that's not how you say that name. That's not. You're supposed to be an American. Why are you saying it like that?
Yes.
But that when they actually do the English dub, it's going to be Simisu as well.
I hope so.
Yes. But I would liken your gripe here to the same thing they do with anywhere that's set in England. Everyone has a Cockney accent.
Oh my god!
Well,
Same
either
kind of
that or like that Jane Austen voice.
Yes.
Jane Austen?
Yeah, the Jane Austen voice.
The voice that everyone has in Jane Austen movies, because they're like all upper class.
They're
They're all very upper class, and they have to roll their R's just a little bit and
I'm with you.
speak in a very precise and concise term with a bit of sibilance whenever they have to speak.
The thing of it is that the Frieren thing, it kind of is on the harmless end of my gripe, right? It's just silly German words. The gripe that I have with it in other contexts, and you even see it in like Sailor Moon, or just like maybe Japanese reality, is like, oh my god, my kid is trying to steal my beer. So sorry. Well, that's the German ancestry. So maybe I never mentioned it. It occurs to me, but the reason I have that gripe is because I am German, right? Possibly can tell from the accent. No, but the other thing that bothers me is if you see like there's some shared history between Japan and Germany.
No.
From about 80 years ago, and they kept a lot of like things around that everyone's like, oh, that looks so cool with like uniforms and school uniforms and all of that, and it's just like, oh, it's just too fascist, And like, I don't actually think it's like a conscious choice of like, oh, we want to make this look fascist. It's just like, oh, this is familiar, that we had some cultural exchange there, it's here, we kept the uniforms, but to my German eyes, it just off-putting.
Well,
let's face it, Hugo Boss is a great designer, but
I do feel though that the uniforms, the school uniforms, definitely in the 80s and 90s were still very like military themed and things. But I think to this, it's gotten so much more relaxed and things. They really resemble a lot of like English school uniforms with like blazers and things like that.
Exactly.
So they have changed quite drastically. But I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like this is a conscious choice by the mangaka or whatever the word for that for anime creators is. But if it's just there and you don't even know where it comes from anymore, it's just been there all this time as a design choice, then it's just why not continue with the aesthetic? But
I have the same opinion on quite a lot of things. If you don't actually know about the topic and you're not experienced in the area, then just don't include that particular thing in your fiction, whatever it's going to be. Show, comic, manga, anime, whatever. If you don't actually know about it, then somebody who is native to that will just come out and say, "You're an idiot. You got no."
I mean, it's the reverse equivalent of having like some kanji tattoo, right? And it just says you look like a bum. And I mean, it's like, and it's just like, it's also that the idea that someone just thinks that German is cool is like so odd because no one else thinks that pretty much.
I kind of think German's quite cool. I like the language; it has corners.
Okay, well, they pick like the awkward names, like Attack on Titan has it too. Attack on Titan tries to pick like actual German names, and it's always the stuff where it's like, that's what your grandparents would have been called, right? It's never modern. So
I think that's because they're trying to set it back historically, because places like Frieren and Attack on Titan are supposed to be slightly more towards the feudal side of things.
Yeah, but it's like, that's not feudal names, right? That's the thing. They're trying to go back in time, but they're not going back far enough. Instead, they're just picking like they're picking names of people that would be in old people homes nowadays, and it's just so hard to picture those as the cool protagonist if you know that that's actually the name of the people that your grandma plays bridge with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Should we get into the main topic itself? Right. Okay. So when we reached out to Anna and asked her what what did you want to cover in terms of a topic, you turned around and said you were interested in discussing well-written female characters in anime. If I'm getting this wrong, please just interject and correct me. You are the expert. But we were talking about also discussing various different things like the Bechdel test, and I went away and I actually did some precursor research. I say research. I can't show you any of my findings, so I'm using the word very liberally. But but we were going to talk about a few of different testing methods and things to determine how well an anime is written. We could also look at this in like Western media as well, but specifically anime are the ones that we preloaded. But the tests that we are covering are the Bechdel test. The Bechdel test is a simple measure used to evaluate the representation of women in movies and other media. To pass, a work must feature at least two named women who talk to each other about something other than a man.
Specifically adult.
This was yes, yeah. So we're not talking teenagers, we're not talking children. It has to be adult women.
A lot of animes have a hard time with that, since most characters are like under 16. I swear.
Yes, yeah. So the Makomori test, what's called named after the.
You skip one.
Sorry. Okay, I'll do the Furiosa. Sorry, my list is in the other order. So the Furiosa test, named after the character from Mad Max Fury Road. This test asks whether the story would still be compelling if the main female character were replaced by a man. This test examines if the female character's role is significant and impactful rather than being defined by gender stereotypes, right?
Wait. It asks if the plot would be the same if the character were a man.
Yeah, basically, yes.
But there's a qualifier on there that I found, which is, does the internet claim that it's too feminist? That's the other part of that.
Well,
so if people on Twitter would get mad that it's too feminist and too empowering to women, then that also is part of that. That's another tick in the box of the Furiosa test.
But now I have a question about the test itself, because to me it sounds like what it measures is just the fact that the woman is a woman actually play a role, and that in itself isn't a bad thing, right? For example, if I think about it, like Alien wouldn't pass because that was written as if the character were a man, and they just then cast Sigourney Weaver, right? It's a good movie, and
that's
everyone I think
talked about.
That is
right.
That's exactly it. Because it measures if the character is just a well-written character in the first place, regardless of the gender.
Okay.
Right. But to me, personally, so, for example, Nasuth and I were talking about this last night, and we were having quite a heated debate about the validity of this test, right? So I would say, I couldn't remember Alien that well, because I haven't seen it in God knows how long, but I recently watched Aliens again, and I would argue that Ripley would act completely different if they were a man instead of a woman, right? Because she has this whole maternal part to her in Aliens, to the fact that, you know, she's lost her daughter and she becomes effectively a new adoptive mother to Newt, right? And I argue that they wouldn't act the same way if they were a man.
But
Okay.
you don't see like any of that in the first one.
I think that, I don't know, like the argument only holds true for the first one, because by the second one, the first one was already out, right? And they were writing it, number one, with her in mind as a man.
Yeah.
And number two, it's like, if you've seen like played The Last of Us, right? It's like you can have a paternal figure or paternal instinct in a man too. That in itself can happen. However, I guess I'm just trying to still understand the test. Like, what does failing or passing mean in this case? Do you pass if the plot is the same, or do you pass if it's different?
Well, I think the idea is you pass if the plot's the same. To me, that's a bad thing.
Yeah. So I think the one we came the conclusion we came to was, is this testing to see if it's actually a well-written female character, like actually female character, or are they they're trying to write a strong character by just writing a man with boobs?
Yeah.
So are they just writing a man with boobs, or are they actually making a good, strong female character?
But again, I'm coming back to the point, because most of the results, if you go looking for the Furiosa test, most of the results also include the thing of it will pass the Furiosa test if it causes misogynists to boycott it.
Right, yeah, because they're like, oh, it's just a woman, but the plot would be exactly the same if it was a man.
Yeah.
No,
it's empowering women too much, you know?
That's
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fury Road was good because it actually has 7 characters that pass the Furiosa test. In all the women, almost all the women actually pass the Furiosa test.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing with the Bechdel test, is, right? You can have a movie that's like 90 minutes long and it's like 87 minutes of men doing cool shit, but then you have a very brief conversation between 2 female characters that have a name talking about the weather, and you pass it, right? Like, it's like, it doesn't measure at all how significant they are to the plot, the movie, or anything.
Right.
That's where the Makamori test comes in, isn't it?
So the Makamori test, named after the character from the film Pacific Rim, this test requires at least one female character to have her own narrative arc that is not about supporting a man's story. It focuses on the presence of female characters with independent goals and development. Now, this one I actually quite like the sound of. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
And basing it on Makamori works well.
Yeah, because her story is actually completely independent of the main thing. The male character could have been switched out for nearly anyone, as long as they did the same thing. Mako's story would have progressed.
Yeah.
You know, and she would have found the same, or found her goals from that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm going to move on to the actual proper established test next, which is the sexy lamp test. The sexy lamp test assesses the relevance of female characters in a narrative by determining if a female character can be removed from the plot and replaced with a decorative lamp or similar inanimate object without affecting the story's outcome. Thereby, what the hell are you doing? Right, thereby critiquing
womanifying an object.
Thereby critiquing the character's lack of agency or significance. And I think a brilliant example of this is James Bond movies. James Bond movies are notorious for having sexy femme fatales that realistically could just be a lamp. And
to me,
it's also
I will present you one other movie that flips it. Indiana Jones and what's it? The Ark of the Covenant. What? What is that?
Marion?
Because both of them could have been removed entirely from the movie, and the movie would have played out exactly the same. Nasuth would have found the Ark of the Covenant, take it to the island, opened it, and all died. The exact same plot line would have happened without Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So this is very clearly an indication that, you know, the female characters are poorly written, and you know, they should have been given much more agency.
To me, it's similar to the girlfriend in the fridge trope, where they're, you know, the fact that there's a woman there doesn't matter at all, except to drive the man forward.
Yeah, which is bad. Very, very bad. Then we actually have two tests that are completely made up for this by myself. One is the Bechdel Alpha test, because I was potentially going to do some additional Bechdel tests. The Bechdel Alpha test is a gender representation assessment that combines the Bechdel's test requirements of at least two named women talking about something other than a man, with additional criteria that the narrative must also include at least two named male characters who have a conversation about something other than a woman. Right? Now, the only reason why I put this together is because the number of anime that features exclusively women and no named male characters that pass the Bechdel test only because of this facet is surprisingly high. There's a lot.
Girls in Panzer comes to mind.
Girls in Panzer would count. You know, there's Onimai would count. Lucky Star counts. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid luckily does not count, but anyway. And then there's the toxic masculinity test. So the toxic masculinity test, I actually sat down with a friend of mine who has a PhD in what's called English literature. And we kind of helped, so we came together and came up with the rules for this test. So the toxic masculinity test evaluates whether a show portrays negative aspects of traditional masculinity, such as sexual objectification, abuse of power, emotional detachment, and hyper competitiveness, without these traits being challenged or developed in any way that contributes to the plot's narratives, critique or narratives critique or evolution of these behaviors. The other criteria is that they have to be protagonists, because these are a lot of things that you would see in antagonists that you would not expect to change.
So Anna would know this one because you brought it up. You brought up soccer, and so that was the thing from Avatar: The Last Airbender, was that soccer has a lot of toxic masculine traits at the start of the show, but they're addressed, and he grows as a character by overcoming many of these. And there's even a whole episode focused on, you know, overcoming one of his biggest stumbling blocks. So, yeah.
Well, I think
Sokka outgrows it kind of by getting the shit beaten out of him by women a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I just genuinely wish that there are better ways for real men to outgrow that. But that's how he learns.
Right.
Is it quite bad if I admit that I got the shit beaten out of me by women to make me admit. But I was 12, so...
I have a question about all this, because my test is this a well-written female character, right? It's just like kind of like, how does this feel? Does this feel real? Can I empathize with this at all? Like, can I this perspective? And some of the things are just like I can't even put them into words. It's just off.
Yeah,
and with the toxic masculinity, I was wondering, just like, because I think there's like a cultural element to it as well, because we're sitting here, you're in the UK and the US, I'm sitting in Sweden. I'm not sitting in Japan. And there's a lot of very different also historical like gender roles and things where I'm like, I don't even know if I think this is weird and offensive to me, because this is just would have been offensive. You know what I'm getting at? I'm stumbling over it a bit. It's like, I, not being an expert on Japan or anything, I kind of sometimes struggle figuring out if something is sexist or just...
Well, it's like they take nudity a lot differently than we do over here. So, like, you tend to have... It's much more culturally acceptable to go to, like, an onsen and just see a bunch of naked people. They have mixed bathing in a lot of cases. You know, even like family members grow up a lot more. No, they do.
Yeah, but so do we. Yeah. I think the nudity thing is very American. Like, you definitely have like mixed, totally nude saunas in Germany.
Fair enough. But
I like Germany again.
It's not. It's mostly old people. It's not as exciting as you think it is. But
threaten me with a good time.
Anyway, the other side I want to actually highlight too. So we went away and we've curated a list of shows that I thought would come up. I thought that a lot of people would potentially talk about and things like this. So these shows have been processed by a GPT model that I put together that are based on these results. Now, this is entirely a facsimile to facilitate conversation and is not a viable way of testing these shows. The only reason why we did this is to help expedite the situation, because I can't remember all these shows inside and out to the point of like, oh yeah, this definitely passes. Oh no, this definitely fails. So I wanted to
take these with a grain of salt,
precursor.
Essentially.
It's certainly take these with a grain. Well,
don't be like that lawyer that trusted ChatGPT. You know.
God. Yes.
I definitely think we should consider Anna's vibe check test as well. That's the important bit.
Well, I mean, the difficulty here is... Well, I think one thing that would be good out of this conversation would be, like, how can we come up with our own rules to like, define a test sort of thing, so to speak, as well as, you know, discuss, like, how much stock do we put in these other tests? You know. So...
Fair enough. Shall we get into it?
And for... what it's worth, for the shows that I have seen and that I actually recall enough to comment on, I can give you my vibe check.
Very cool.
Right. So I think in reality the best starting place is realistically Frieren. You know, we've been talking about this. You know, you've already said that you. So to your how do you feel about Frieren as a show?
Outside of the weird German names, I absolutely love it. It super passes the vibe check, whatever that is.
Whatever the vibe check is. How do you feel about the fact that the main protagonist is female? Do you think that this really helps progress the vibe check?
Sorry, I'll shut up.
No, you go first.
No, please don't let me interrupt you.
Because he will.
I will 100%.
I think the thing about Frieren is she strikes me as a very asexual almost person. Like she has that thing with Himmel going on that I think she's still trying to figure out herself, right? But
yes.
And I find that nice and refreshing because it's like very, great to see a female character that's not falling over her feet trying to please not just men but like people around her. I don't think the two are necessarily connected, right? But that's one of my gripes a lot of the time with a lot of female characters is that they're always trying to please everyone around them.
Yeah,
and she doesn't have
Frieren
that at all.
Yeah, she gives zero fucks about what anybody else wants unless they're important to her.
Unless they have books.
They have books. She's jealous of Fern's boobs, right? So it's like and so it's like she's not completely indifferent, or you can't even say that she's like, oh, this is just a vessel or something, or what. She does have these things. She doesn't understand all of them herself, I think.
I think it kind of makes sense for somebody who's lived as long as she has, where her priorities are just different. Yeah. She sees other mortals in a different light. And so it makes more sense that she wouldn't be attached in the same way. I think.
Yes.
But where does the origin of her just going around different towns and things helping people come from? Like, the fact looking for a specific flower or...
I guarantee it's from her master in that sense, because she was picked up by her master and taught the importance of what they were doing as mages from the perspective of somebody who fought demons. And so most of the priorities for her are not, will be about living well and keeping vigilant. They won't be, so much about settling down and finding out we do. Frieren even said that elves don't feel the need to actually procreate so much, so there's very little interaction between elves anymore. So add the natural inclination with the attitude that's going to be given to her by her master, and it's resulted in a more, I have my own goals, and as long as everybody else aligns with them, I'll go along with it. And it hasn't been until the adventure with Himmel and the others that she decided to actually get to know people, because they didn't really seem all that important to her before.
Do you agree?
And as a
with
result, know herself, I think.
She's never really explored that aspect of herself.
Yeah. Exactly. She hasn't explored. Yeah. Right.
I just thought, I think she uses the fact that she is a woman to her advantage, in the sense of, having people underestimate her. I think the whole suppressing her mana is just one part of the whole thing, right? She's like, oh no, I'm just this little lady. She's also physically very small, even for an elf. I thought they were all short until we met other elves, and they're big.
And muscular. And
yeah. And she's just...
incredibly intimidating.
Yeah, and she's just that's part of the thing, right? It's like, oh, you're non-threatening.
Yes, but she's not afraid to carry around a potion that dissolves clothing and say, here, give this to men, they love it.
But she totally doesn't get why that would be appealing, apparently. Just that it's kind of naughty.
Yeah. Because when it's used on her, she just kind of goes, okay, fine, I guess I have to go get some more clothes now. You horrible person. Why done that?
Oddly enough, I think it's a case of she's kind of studied the human psychology, the human mind.
Yeah,
and actually has a better understanding.
But
she understands that the human desire to get down and dirty, but she, again, as you put it, she has this sort of asexual tendency, because she does not seem to chase men, and it's she has more of a sexual relationship with grimoires than she does anything. Well, no, I mean she does though, but as soon as she sees a grimoire, she's after it.
Okay, would you agree with the idea that she approaches almost everything from an intellectual standpoint rather than an emotional?
No. Demons are the only thing that I think she will approach with an emotional stance. Because she's always quick to, nope, just kill it now, kill it. Yeah, and I think that comes from the fact that the demons destroyed her hometown, or home village.
Well, also that she was taught at a very, I want to say, impressional age by someone that was just telling her that this is
just
it.
Kill them. Burn them all.
Yeah. And it's like, I think,
Sorry, but like, I would also say that sometimes it seems like she's only approaching something. Now, to be fair, I haven't watched all of Frieren. I'm quite behind on it, but it seems like she's doing something from an intellectual standpoint, but in reality, she also has an emotional motivation behind it. Like when she finds the blue flower, to put around Himmel's grave, right? That seems like purely intellectual at first, which is why Fern gets so upset. But then you actually see what it's really for, and it's got that emotional impact behind it as well.
But I think that's got an emotional impact for others. She's doing it for others, not for herself.
I disagree.
I think it's a sign that she's actually showing, she's having that interest in others. But I think she's doing it because it actually makes her feel good to do things for others.
But not to the point where she can actually vocalize and explain that to others.
Which is why I brought up at when we were doing the early season reviews that that many of the spells, when Fern goes over some of the spells that Frieren's collected, one of them is to make grapes sour.
Yeah.
But it's only in a later episode that we hear, in a flashback, that her dwarf companion liked sour grapes. The more sour, the better. And so she's collected the spell to make grapes sour, and she probably hasn't even thought about it in that sense. It's just more along the lines of, this makes him happy, so I'll do it.
I mean, in a weird way, I feel that because she's so... I think the only time I've ever seen her sort of like overtly happy is in the most recent episodes where she's exploring a dungeon. And I just want to... I'm not going to spoil anything because... But, I think in part...
It's the first time she finally doesn't get eaten by a mimic.
No. It's the fact that I think it also brings her back to good memories when she was exploring dungeons with her old party, right? She is an actual outward smile on her face that I don't really recall ever seeing on her face before in the entire series. So
she has very much got this, almost expressionless face on her at almost all times, and it's only when she's confronting something that actually genuinely makes her happy that you can see that emotion on her. Even Annika doesn't.
You also have to remember
up too much.
That to her, we're all transitory. Like we're a blink in the eye and we're gone. So it kind of makes sense that she would have this sort of detached nature that she'd have to work against in order to make connections again. Whereas a memory like that, a warm memory that helps her relive people that are gone, has a much easier time of bubbling to the surface those emotions.
But the thing is, like, the other elves that we've met, he's not necessarily like that, and I would challenge that idea. I think that's a very particularly Frieren and not necessarily an elf thing, because it's like, who here has, like, pets, like cats, dogs, they're very temporary.
Yeah.
But we get super attached to them, even if for a short while. Like, people that have, like, even shorter-lived animals, right? Mice or something. You can care about something that's just there for a little while.
Yeah, fair.
That's why I think she approaches a lot more things intellectually than otherwise. I think combining the death of her family with being raised with her master, not raised, but brought up into her master's practices of like suppressing her manner and everything, taught her that it has given her more of an experience of going around and just doing things that she thinks are right for the situation. She's got the time. She's got the world to explore. Because she's an elf, she'll live that long.
I think she's
compare that
very...
to
Yeah?
Oh, you think she's very...
emotionally stunted, right? That's the thing. She was living a life, and then all that was over, and she's with Flamme now, and all Flamme cares about apparently is killing demons. There's like, you have to suppress everything, you have to suppress your mana, you have the what? No space for emotions, right? Like, tamper it all down, nothing there, and that's all you're taught for about whatever the teenage stretch is, formative years for her. And then her master dies. She just keeps going on, I assume. I mean, I don't know what happens in the meantime, but I assume she just kind of keeps doing that.
Well, I don't think she does. I think she basically becomes secluded because, remember, Himmel, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it, ends up finding her at like a shack out in the middle of a forest where she's been waiting for someone to challenge the Demon King.
True.
Demon Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you're Frieren the Mage and you want to challenge the Demon King. So, is a proper introvert. She's been adopted by an extrovert.
I wanna pivot this. How does Fern land on the Anna vibe check?
Fern is funny in that she's a teenage girl. That isn't being portrayed like a teenage girl, almost.
Yeah.
And yet she is. Like, she's mature beyond her years in many ways, and then in others you can tell that she's just a kid. Like, she's kind of like a kid from an abused household with like an alcoholic parent or something, right? Like, she kind of has to drag Frieren along.
Yeah. There is that sense of caring for another person at a young age. It's given her a sense of responsibility. But you're right, there's so many things. There's so many things that she wants that she doesn't know about. And it's taken other influences to tell her something important.
I feel that the sorry, I don't mean to be argumentative, but I'm going to be. I feel that the comment of it being, she's like a character that's come from an abusive household, I disagree with that. I feel like you would see more damage in her. I feel that she is a character coming from a single parent household. Where
not just a single parent, but a single parent household where that parent, before Frieren, mind you, had a terminal illness.
Elderly, yes.
Well, I mean, I've known loads of people that that had a similar upbringing, like where either the father or the mother wasn't in the picture for various different reasons, and they have this sort of like independent yet childish sublayer to their character. That's like, again, I've known people that have had very abusive parents and they don't come out right at all. They suffer a lot.
That's fair. I would actually like to take back what I said a little bit, because the thing is, like, I can identify with Fern in a certain way, and I do not come from abusive background at all. But it is I am the oldest in a family of 3 kids. And I share this sense of accountability beyond reason, kind of, because it was always, you're the oldest, you're responsible for this. And it's like, she has that thing. It's like, it is like such a weight on you, or it's like you can't shake. You just feel like you have to be responsible, even though at some point nobody's telling you that you are anymore. And she shouldn't be, right? Like, Frieren's a grown-ass person.
But often
she can make her own. She doesn't act like it, but she is, right? That's the thing. It's like, at some point you grow up and you realize you shouldn't be responsible. You can't be responsible for other people's actions anymore. Like, she's not there yet. I hope that's part of her journey, right? That letting go and just like taking care of your own needs, which she is trying very hard to just suppress and neglect. In that sense, and that need of just like, being a kid. Being a teenager with a crush.
Yes.
So, I'd like to pivot
on the track. Go on.
I'd like to pivot to a different show entirely, which I'm very sure Anna's not going to have seen. Nasuth, I'm going to need you to refresh that. And...
you mean
no,
this?
No, yes,
Okay.
yeah, that. I want to talk about a show that I'm pretty sure, I don't mean to be mean or anything, is going to repulse Anna, and it is Keijo. Right?
The
This-
thumbnail is certainly something.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
It sure is.
So I just want to point out that this passes both the Bechdel test and the Makamori test. Apparently, the Furiosa test was not applicable, which I don't believe. But it fails it fails all the other tests, right? The whole point of this series is that it is effectively, wrestling with your butt while on a mat that is in the middle of a swimming pool.
Yeah, pool floaty.
Yes. if this image does not,
This is not physically possible.
yeah, that spine contortion is just like,
Fine, that's
Wow.
scoliosis.
yep. Right.
If it says I'm a strong, independent woman, I have a curvature of the spine.
Right. Okay.
I've never watched
Right.
this, and I probably never will. But man, these images just hilarious.
It's funny as hell.
Yes.
Right, but my point is, maybe it's a case of we need to answer some of your questions first, or I need to answer them. The degenerate I am. But how does this rate on the Anna vibe check?
I mean, it kind of points out a big flaw in all of the tests so far, except maybe the sexy lamp test, which is that, the writing and what you see visually in a visual media are two very separate things often, or one.
Mhm.
Like, if you have all of this and you have, like, really deep conversations going on at the same time, which I don't think they have, but for the sake of argument, it's still kind of off.
Well, they do spend a lot of their time just focusing exclusively on the sport, how to improve their game in the sport, and nothing but the sport itself.
So
Right.
is this
You
supposed
said
to be
that.
like a drawn version of like pro wrestling, but with women in a pool?
Yes.
It's
Or sumo
there is
wrestling,
a sport
or- Yes.
that actually there is actually a sport base like this, which is it's more sumo wrestling than anything else I've seen, as they said. The idea is to get your opponent off the pool floaty into the water, and this is their excuse for wearing swimsuits.
But and this is like the really like what the fuck. They can't use their hands or feet. They have to basically hip check their opponent, and it's
Right.
just like or they can boob check their opponents, but it's just
Unnecessarily
like
disguised fetish.
yeah. pretty
Okay,
much.
so what in this does it make it not just like basically jerk off material? Like, what is the ostensible selling point of this outside of?
Well, here's that's the thing though. Like, so first off, I think there's the comedic side of things, but second,
Yes.
I don't think there is anything else apart from the comedy. I don't think there's anything else
That's
that
basically a
will
lot of ecchi,
redeem
right?
this.
I will give you one argument, okay? In the same way that a lot of female wrestling in the US can be said to be the same because it's all for performance,
Yeah.
but so many people just say it is jerk off material because it's hot women, athletic women jumping around on the stage in tight outfits. So
Yes and no.
there is
I think
the
you can.
concentration. Sorry, I'm going over you, but the concentration on the sport and the comedy side of things kind of stops it from being purely. But it was written for the male gaze, definitely,
Oh yeah.
and for many of the female gaze. I've got to be completely honest. There's everybody could be attracted to everybody.
I mean, the thing is this, a lot, like, arguing about, women in pro wrestling, especially how much of it was shaped by Vince McMahon, who is a disgusting garbage fire of a right. It's like so rather pointless. But it's like, I mean, the thing is, like, there's nothing wrong with porn in and of itself. Like the idea or reality of it is, you kind of wish it was like, if you stop and think about it, that, you know, teenagers don't know any better and think they can learn a thing or two from porn, and they learn the wrong things that are kind of negative. But at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that per se, right? It's like, I don't have an issue with things that are just meant to be jerk off material. Does that make sense? It's like, I have an issue with things that are meant to have like a plot, and things that people are like, actually, you know, a story. Because this isn't a story, from what I can tell, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if you're trying to tell me this is a story, but then all of the men are like serious business guys and the women are all topless, like, that's when I start having an issue with it. Like, well, but pornographic material by itself, sure, why not? It's just, this is more silly than anything.
Well, I mean, like, if you look at our test results, which Anna's able to see, no one else is able to see at the moment. It passes the Bechdel test, but it does not pass the Bechdel alpha test because there are no men in this series.
Well, of course,
at least not more than one man together. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm guessing it fails the sexy lamp test not because of a male character's love interest, but because there's just characters put in there specifically to only be looked at and not actually, fill out a role in any particular plot line.
Well, I mean, if you could get lamps to just, like, fight each other on a wrestling mat, I think it's the same thing, isn't it? So,
except with an electrocution risk.
I mean, would I watch this and enjoy it? No.
Yeah. Okay.
But then again, I also have to qualify this. I am very much a heterosexual woman, so I don't know if a lesbian woman would enjoy this, to be honest, because... No,
I can very much imagine they would.
I rather don't think they would, but it's hard for me to put myself into that sort of...
I think it's
but it's like...
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think it's for people that enjoy that sort of ecchi comedy genre, and you see that a lot. That ecchi is just it's played for laughs, but you have to be into that kind of humor, and if you're not, you're just not gonna. I don't really go in for a lot of ecchi humor either.
It's like the absurdist factor that this is even like the sad truth is this now actually exists as a sport. It's.
I think technically it existed as sport before the anime as well, and that's why they made the anime because. No, didn't. I think it was a game show thing. One of those Japanese game shows that had these silly things on there, like dropping people down holes that looked like lifts and things. Those kind of prank shows.
Right. Now. Are there any shows that Anna would like to discuss?
Out of your list?
Oh, we've got so many.
What catches your eye?
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at the list, and then I can say, you know what, this is.
All right, let's start at the top.
Okay, Attack on Titan. I've seen parts of it, but I actually it was a bit too fascist for me, so.
That's fair.
I never cared for the show for reasons that have nothing to do with the female characters, which, to my recollection, were perfectly fine. Although this was several years ago, I don't recall it enough. I thought, like, oh yeah, there was what's her name, Mikasa? The one that has all of the endless sort of, like, inner monologues. They were...
Yeah. And there's also the blonde Titan. I can't remember her name.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But the thing is, like, Attack on Titan, it's like I didn't particularly care for it, but that's kind of funny, right? Because a lot of the times I watch an anime and I'll just kind of like recoil a bit at specifically the women in it. Attack on Titan had me nope out for completely unrelated reasons.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Not the women. Yeah, Berserk, first anime outside of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children that I did see. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Can people see the results of the test?
No, they can't.
No?
No, but we can tell. It fails everything.
It fails everything.
It fails all of them.
The Furiosa one is not applicable, but the
that's the thing. I still like it. Like that's these tests. They're maybe a start or an indication of something, but it doesn't necessarily mean do I enjoy this. And I think that's the thing that I have to say. You know, as a modern day woman, feminist, and whatever, and it's like, if you really apply all of your real life everyday principles to everything you see online, it's like you have to stop watching everything. And it's like, you can't do that. If it's just about, you know, misogyny and racism and homophobia and something, and it's like, you want to consume things, you want to watch things, you want to like things, and there's also like a threshold, I think, where it's like, somewhere I have to draw a line of like, well, yeah, this isn't super great, and certainly Berserk has issues with its female characters. I was personally willing to overlook them.
Issues is mild, I think. I mean, long-term trauma with its female characters is more to the point.
Yeah, and I've only seen the show. I have not read the manga.
So, just to highlight, like, I think it's really interesting that Berserk is critically acclaimed as one of the best anime out there and everything, and even one of the best manga, and I kind of agree with it. Yet it fails the Bechdel test because we only have one named female character, potentially a second one.
Yeah, there's the princess.
Well,
all the way.
What's her name, Nasuth?
I don't remember, but I know they give her a name.
The princess.
I think she has a name too. I don't recall it either, and like what happens to her is horrible, but it is also viewed as horrible in universe, so that's fair.
Yes.
But I don't know what happens to her. I'm gonna remain ignorant.
It waits until the actual the manga progresses until there is another female character that comes in and does have, but that considering we're talking about the anime, you can't include characters that don't exist yet.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just that. It's the fact that the princess and Casca never talk to each other, right?
Yeah, I think that's more the case. Yeah.
I kind of feel that the Furiosa test is actually applicable in this, because Casca's experiences and things. She tries to be one of Griffith's men.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
She can't.
When she's trying to, when she's actually there being that she wants it to be because she'll support Griffith.
Yeah.
So that was the thing about the Furiosa thing. She's not
that's
supporting
the Makamori test.
Oh, that's the Makamori thing. Yeah, sorry.
Right. Okay. But the story would play out differently if Casca was a man. Right. She wouldn't have the high fever when she's having a period and things like this. Right. So
That's not even. That's not going. That's just bad.
I'm feeling this is failing the Anna vibe check.
That's just failing basic biology.
That's fair enough. That's men failing basic biology.
I mean, it's like it's telling that out of all the characters there in the end of the anime when it all goes to shit thanks to Griffith.
Yes.
There's like one character there that's a woman, and there's one character there that gets like horribly. Am I allowed to say the word?
No, please no. A legal no time.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Something like Zeno's words.
I would argue like if it hadn't mattered to him, whether that was a woman or a man, he could have just like picked anyone else, but he didn't.
I think another side of it is the fact that it treats Casca as the girlfriend in the fridge, right?
Even while she's alive.
Yeah, I mean, she's put through this traumatic experience not to further her own narrative, but to further Guts' narrative, right? Which is bad.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing, right? A lot of like in adventure or whatever stories, right? A lot of a woman's role is just to be a dude's tragic background.
Yeah.
And that is her there.
Yep.
But it's like that's not good, but it wouldn't have happened if she was a man. So it's like
the world still treats it as like the thing is that this is a brutal world, right? Where bad things happen and it doesn't care. But that you could probably still get that across with some better writing for behind it as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then again, you got this thing of could you take her out and it would act the same? Well, depends on if the guy looked like a Stolfo or not.
What?
But the thing about it is,
Nasuth got it.
I think the thing with Berserk is that it tried really hard for its time, if that makes sense. Because Berserk is also kind of old when compared to a lot of this. And it's like, oh my lord, how do I...
we can edit it out.
Okay. So I think it's like if we do look at stories in the context of the time that they came out in, I think like writing of strong women outside of Alien for a long time, and I think we actually got worse at it in the 90s. If you look at like 80s action flicks, you've got like, you know, you have Terminator and you have Alien. You have like better examples of it, but then at some point in the 90s, and I do believe Berserk is a product of the 90s.
I think it started being written in the 80s, but I don't know when the Golden Age was written, and this particular thing came out in 97.
Yeah. So it took a bit of a nosedive, and it was a lot of like talking tough and whatever, which Casca certainly does. But not a whole lot of agency in your own plot, essentially. So that was the idea, I think, of the time of like a strong woman, which we would now not agree with. But I think it was trying to go for that, so I'm willing. It didn't super succeed in like the big picture, but I think they were trying.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with you on that one.
Oddly enough, go on.
No, go on. You were going to call it on with an actual point.
Well, I was going to say, oddly enough, the pivot to this is Claymore, right? So unless, Thaylien, you have a point that you...
I was actually going to go for the point of we could go for an anime that didn't even try, okay, with its female characters, and is arguably even more popular than Berserk, which is Dragon Ball Z. And that
God!
Everything.
Okay, and so let's do Dragon Ball Z and then circle around to Claymore.
What really gets me on Dragon Ball Z is that it's deliberate by the author. You know, it's the female characters got written out over time, basically, and became just window dressing to the story. Whereas, you know, the original Dragon Ball itself had Bulma as one of the main characters and actually participating in things. Once he got to Dragon Ball Z, the entire focus was on the male characters. There's almost no female characters getting any kind of agency or story, all the way up until you get to, like, Super.
Well, even in... Dragon Ball, Bulma's written out of it fairly early on. Like, I watched quite a lot of it, and it's just like, as soon as she finds Yamcha, she's gone. You know?
That's her boyfriend. Yep. But there's also the usage of her to get Master Roshi on their side and everything. It's not okay.
She just wants to marry Goku. Like, she doesn't care about anything else. Yep.
Proper Chinese princess star.
Yeah.
Anna, did you ever watch any of the Dragon Ball Z stuff originally?
I have not. My sister did. And the things I'm just trying to recall, like from everything I've heard and seen from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, is like I didn't even know it had female characters.
That's pretty much it.
Even in the Navi saga, when Bulma's out in the field again, she mostly just gets relegated to the cave and being like, "Watch the Dragon Balls. You got to stay here and watch the Dragon Balls." I'm helpless.
She gets one thing where she gets in a sub and goes down and fights crabs in the ocean. Yeah. But that's kind of it.
My awareness of Dragon Ball is really that my sister, who is quite a bit younger than me and actually did watch anime growing up as a result. So I have some awareness of things that she used to watch, and Dragon Ball Z is one of them. And I could name a couple of male characters. I could look at a couple more and be yes, that guy. Well, I think that's Goku.
Gohan's dad.
Yeah,
that's Gohan's dad and Goku.
And Goku, yeah, and then there's Vegeta.
Money, you can't say that.
And there's a couple of others where I'm oh yeah, that dude, like this guy. I don't know his name, but I'm I could tell you that he's from Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yes.
And a couple of other characters where I'm I can place them in the right anime, sort of, but I cannot recall a single female character.
I would place Dragon Ball Z as one of those shows where you could, in fact, watch the abridged version, and from context of the things they make jokes about, get the entirety of the real thing, and say, oh, okay, so that that's how it went, and they're making jokes about it now by showing it in a silly way. Okay,
I've been sitting here trying to remember the name. Sorry, just as a example of how little the women matter in this. I was sitting here trying to remember Gohan's wife's name. It took me forever to remember it was Videl.
Shit, yeah.
Pan is their daughter.
Yeah, I was
I'll give you a better one. Who was Krillin's girlfriend before 18?
Launch,
had
wasn't
a girlfriend
it? No.
Was it Launch?
It was not Launch. No. Launch vanished after in Dragon Ball. It was Marin.
It looked like Bulma?
Who the fuck's Marin?
Kind of had the same head. So what happened was when after the Frieza saga, Krillin came back to Earth and apparently had made himself successful. Now they joked about it in the abridged, but I think it actually was he took out a life insurance policy on himself, and he did in fact die into outer space. So he cashed that in and became rich, and he got himself a gold digger girlfriend named Marin, who was genuinely just an innocent. It's just an innocent girl, and when he had the lesson of if you really love something, let it go and it'll come back to you. And he did that, but Marin just ran off and said hi to the nearest hot guy. She's like, oh, okay. It was fun.
And that's about the depth of their female writing. So, I mean,
Yeah. It's so strange. What's even weirder is he named his daughter after her.
Oh, God, that's true.
Oh, okay. That kind of goes against what I was going to say. There's the quote from Studio Ghibli,
Hayao Miyazaki?
Yeah. The whole thing that gets misattributed to anime was a mistake, but where he just, what he meant, to my understanding, was that he was really upset with the state of anime, and specifically that it was written by a bunch of people who've never left their basement and whatnot.
Grew up on anime and are just writing their own personal favorite anime.
And don't understand that women are real people who have feelings, have never interacted with a woman, and therefore can't write women. And that's why he writes a lot of female characters. Which, by the way, this list doesn't have any Ghibli characters on it. What's up with that?
I think
give me a Ghibli movie, right? Just name one.
Anyone, Princess Mononoke.
Okay, there we go. Nasuth, go bring it up and I'll go check it.
Because it's if you're looking for strong female characters, none of them are going to pass the Bechdel test because a lot of them are kids, right?
Yeah.
But it's any of that shit.
Mm-hmm. So Princess Mononoke, you absolutely know that Sun is it's like a Furiosa character. It probably would pass the Furiosa test, I think.
It does pass the Furiosa test.
The main bad guy also a woman?
No.
There's no main bad guy. That's the point of the movie. There's an antagonist.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not... So apparently it passes everything, but I don't understand how it passes... Oh, come on!
Aren't there some old women who are having a discussion at some point that aren't...
No names.
Might have names.
Right. No. Hold on.
But
the film passes the Bechdel test. the film features named female characters such as San and Lady Eboshi, who have a conversation with each other about topics beyond men. It's just one fucking conversation between San and fucking Lady Eboshi.
I told you, that's all it needs. That's all it takes. Yep. I mean, the Bechdel test
such a
is
low
a
bar.
nice little thought experiment, but yeah, it's if you have something like that, it passes. It's just like.
But it just shows the flaws in the test, right? Because these are both of them unquestionably incredibly strong female characters that have independent agency and all the things that you as a woman want to see in a female character. They're important.
Indeed.
People respect them. You know, people see them as equals and leaders and all of that.
I am impressed that they don't actually it passes the sexy lamp test. That there's no characters in that movie that could have been replaced by a sexy lamp.
Yeah,
you know, there's none of them because they're not none of the throwaway characters that aren't named, like this girl that is helping her brother. She's named in the credits, but she's not named in the movie.
And she's not there to be sexy.
But she's not there to be sexy either. She's there to be villager number 2, as it were. You know.
I'm not entirely sure how it passes the Furiosa test. Because obviously the character that is subject to this is San.
Yes.
But
if she was a he that was raised by the wolves and had the same exact story, it would work.
No, but her antagonist...
Apart from her...
For her antagonist, that's not true at all. Her antagonist's story would not be the same if she were a man. And they make a point of it also that she does take, both the lepers, but also, prostitutes.
Yeah, that's right.
Like they acknowledge in universe that women aren't equal to men, right?
Yeah.
And this is a different and special thing that she does, where she lifts people up and makes them equals.
Okay, so maybe that's where it actually passes. Okay, that's very interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way. Yeah. Okay.
I love her character, and I don't think she is an antagonist, but I don't think she's the villain at all.
Yeah, no, I think they're just doing what she wants to do. What she wants to do for her purposes, which is make a town, mine coal, make it work, and have a whole load of people that she can that trust her. So, it's an interesting form of antagonism where there's nobody really the villain except, in this particular case, progress at the expense of others.
Well, that's the thing about real life. Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say the exact same thing. It's like the risking or nature and preserving your old way of life at the expense of people who just can't keep up with that, right? Which in this case, and she's trying to create a better world for these lepers and prostitutes and people who'd be left behind in the olden days at the expense of nature, which is also not good.
Yeah, world is complicated and full of gray areas, and often, sometimes you know who the bad guy is, but often the bad guy thinks they're doing things for the right reasons too, and they're just deluded, or they've been raised wrong, or who knows,
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like a real bad guy, for the most part, they don't think of themselves as a bad guy.
They think of themselves as the hero of their own story.
Yeah.
Yep. We had the whole discussion on villains, and only a few of those people actually think they are the bad guy.
Yeah.
Unless it's a show.
And it's like...
Is there any other show that you would like to specifically talk about?
What I was hoping out of this is actually that you guys were going to tell me about shows that have great female characters that I haven't seen.
Okay, so here's one.
Something new to
right,
do.
I've railroaded it now. It's going to be Ghost in the Shell, right?
I haven't seen the movie, I think.
So this isn't the movie specifically. This is the series. So this is the 2002 series. Begins with Gene Nasuth. So if you scroll up a bit.
Yeah, but I was looking
at other stuff.
Oh, yeah, we actually need to look at the thing, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So this actually passes all the tests. Now there is multiple instances in this where our main female protagonist, Motoko Kusanagi, I think, her attire is just very like a man clearly drew this.
Skin tight.
It's a fucking what's it called, leotard. I'm like, come on.
It's definitely Marvel superhero.
But the
inspired.
thing is that it kind of fits, because there are also times when she talks about it's just a shell, it's just a body. It may be her body, but it's still just a shell, and she doesn't even really know anymore inside if she's male or female.
Yeah.
Her thing is that she was a full body prosthetic. She's just a brain in there.
Oh,
but
she
she
is a ship, basically.
Sorry, say that again.
She's Theseus' ship. If you're replaced,
yeah. But
is that her thing? That it's like, am I still me, or
kind of?
It's more complicated than
theory
that.
of
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole theory of Ghost in the Shell is what defines a person. Can you hack a person if they've got enough technology connected to their brain? Can you create artificial intelligence, true artificial intelligence, by combining the minds or the spirits of people with machinery? What even is it to be alive if everything you've got on your body has been replaced by technology? That's a large themes running through the show and through the movie.
Another thing that we could talk about as a good show is Kill la Kill, right?
I was actually going to suggest Steins Gate, but Kill la Kill is if you want purely a main character, then Kill la Kill probably.
Yeah. So if you want to scroll up and expand that one, it does, again, it says that it passes everything, but apart from the clearly it would, but surely surely it would pass the Furiosa test, but the again, we're talking about like jerk off material here, where it's like, why are these costumes skin tight,
except they kind of have a reason for that, which is interesting, at least.
Exactly.
So it does, like, feel questionable at points where, what's the reasoning behind this? But they do try to allude to a reasoning. This was actually Studio Trigger's first anime outside of moving away from Gainax.
But does that reason apply to the male character as well, then?
Yes.
Characters.
Actually, yes.
Because I'm like,
very much so.
Fair, and everyone's wearing leotards, then sure.
Yep.
There is an entire faction in this show literally called Nudist Beach, who believe that clothes are evil and only wear bandoliers of like gear packs as their only coverings, because they're not actually clothes. They're just, they're essential tools. And some of the things they do in the show to cover for the fact that these people are nude, downright hilarious.
So, I believe I mentioned it before, but at this point it becomes relevant that culturally, right, Austria, Germany, and I did grow up in Austria, is very nude friendly, and you'll have nudist beaches, and Vienna has an artificial island in the center of the city, sort of where the Danube is, that they put there to avoid flooding. And like a part of that island, it's a recreational place. Like you go there, you go bicycling, people do inline skating, all sorts of things. Is specifically a nudist place. And if you take, like, you're trying to be health conscious, you get your bicycle, you go there, you drive once around the island. It's like 50 kilometers or something. You drive past the nudist place. It's not like there's any special barrier between the two. It's just, this is reserved for the people. There will definitely be people there inline skating naked, which is weird because they'll be wearing the knee pads and the elbow pads. And then, but nothing
That's
else.
just basic safety.
And I will never forget the sight of, bicycling past like a dude who's like just inline skating like left foot, right foot, right foot, and it just goes
And
like.
things are
Right
swaying
swing,
around.
left swing, and right swing, left swing.
And that's what I'm
the road
picturing
rash.
here.
Oh.
Well,
And
luckily
that's
it's not
what
that
I'm
bad.
picturing here.
No, it's not quite.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. So
Because it's
there's
like
no
the
actual.
bandolier
there's-
reminded me of the knee pads and the
Yeah,
elbow
so there's
pads.
no actual. There's no actual frontal nudity. Men get their pecs out of it, but there's no actual nudity in the show. There is fan service where you'll see somebody
Loads.
appear in underwear. There'll be loads of that, or where outfit changes cause them to like a couple of straps to cover up convenient
Their nipples.
areas and make them jiggle.
Yeah.
Yes, nipples and
But
only
it's,
nipples.
but it's all
in
like
some cases.
it's almost parody, which I think is part of what
Yes.
makes it work. Yes, there's fan service. Yes, you've got these skimpy characters, but there's purpose to it. It's not just there to be like, hey, look at these pretty girls.
All right. Well, so long as it's equal for both sides and it's not just like in, was it Metal Gear with this one character, Metal Gear Solid?
Oh, was
With
it
this
4
one-
with the
Where she's
the
naked
Thoros?
because she has to breathe through her skin
Oh, yeah.
because of a thing, but everyone
Oh,
else is
God.
not
No.
naked. and she's
You're
immediately that.
talking.
Yes.
No, Metal Gear
That's-
Solid 5. Fuck, what's her name?
Quiet.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it's quiet.
4 also did it with
Yeah.
the beauties or whatever they were called.
Yeah.
Yes, but consider there was also the earlier Metal Gear that did it with Vamp, who was a guy that had just had his shirt permanently off,
Oh, God,
and he was a very, very gay vampire.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People say things about the Metal Gear series, but we've all got to admit that the entire game series is to present ostensibly straight men in very gay positions.
Anyway, should we talk about Steins yet then?
Sure. So not a main character. Why is
Which
it not
doesn't
opening?
have any
it's broken.
results.
It's broken. Give me a second. Just keep going.
Okay. So there aren't really any. I can't even remember her name. I'm sorry. I only remember Helia's name because he's so crazy.
Oh, Kurisu.
I wouldn't. Is that her name? Kurisu? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that she's the main character because it does mainly focus on Helia. But she's about as close to a female lead as you're going to get, and she does have a very impactful. She has a lot of impact on the story. There are things that they couldn't have done. They would have never figured out about the science that they're the strange super science that they're playing with if she hadn't been there to be like, yeah, I'm just as smart as you. I can come up with these answers too. It hasn't changed. Are we still
works
on?
now.
Yeah, we're still on.
sorry.
Done it. That's all right. I should have changed it too. There it is.
You can refresh the thing.
And I don't remember the other girl's name either. And while she is a little bit more passive, she still has a very strong role in things. Here we go. So yeah, it passes. Yeah, it passes everything. There you go. Well, Furiosa, but yeah.
I think, you know what? I think because you guys said that Furiosa test also has the online Shadestorm part of it, I think maybe just that not being available might make a lot of them many.
Yes. So the fear is that I think with that aspect, with many of the shows we're saying not available because
There's just no
it was kind of like the expected thing, not they didn't have an outcry of misogyny. So
Well, I'd also just go with GPT was involved, so it's probably wrong. But see, I think there is a bit of controversy with some of the characters, the whole motivation. The female characters are used more often as motivation for what's called the main male protagonist. But that's not necessarily a bad thing because you think it more of a, oh, that was weird. Why did that happen? And because it's not a point right now. It is a very, very good series, and it's not a harem and it's a well-balanced cast, but there are more female characters than there are male characters. There's a wide, diverse
you really only have
spectrum and
the
everything.
two main male characters, don't you?
Technically, there's a third.
Yeah, but doesn't really play much of a role in it, aside,
He has a huge role in it. I don't know what you're talking about. Moving on. Yes, moving on. So it's a very good philosophical, scientific series. So it's very sci-fi, and I would certainly say it does not objectify the female characters in this, unlike Kill la Kill, right?
The fact that again,
Kill la
Keijo
Kill
is just as smart as Thaylien in a lot of in basically every way, and his equal in he's crazy, and she's like, I'm not gonna take your shit,
Yeah. So
so it's basically like my marriage.
Not
yes,
wrong.
very, very, very much so.
I love the man. I married him for a reason, but that's basically us.
But
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else has any others, or we should move on.
Okay, so
Okay,
recommendations would be Kill la Kill and Steins Gate.
And Ghost of the Shell.
Are you,
And Ghost in the
watching
Shell,
any of the current season?
Well,
I
Frieren.
actually I have two things where I would be interested in what the stats say and what you guys think. So the first would be, and these are things that I've actually watched at least part of. I think I've watched all of One Punch Man. I have not read the manga
I think that flat out fails.
or
we have
any
that
of
here.
them.
I think it's
but
just
Yes,
But that one-
passes toxic masculinity test. Fails all the other
that
ones.
one I was like I feel like I don't think, especially with the main character being what he is, right? There's not a whole lot of toxic masculinity
Yeah,
in that.
exactly.
So that's-
But it's,
And I
also,
think-
it's also the fact that
I don't-
he's always the point of the reaction. So everybody's reacting to him. So it'd be a very strange thing to have some of the other tests pass.
Yeah, that, and it's like I know there has to be more significant female characters, but the only one I can think of is the one with the hair, the
green
girl
hair?
with the green hair.
Yeah.
There's
Yes,
Tsubaki
Tatsumaki, yes.
and
Tatsumaki.
Tatsumaki,
Yeah.
and I can't remember
Tatsumaki,
what her
the tornado of terror. Oh, Tsubaki
And-
is the
Her
is
her
the
sister.
is the younger sister, who is the Ice Queen or whatever she's
Blizzard.
But that
Yes.
kind of brings me to a thing that kind of annoys me, and that's not unique to anime at all. I think a lot of like Western media and just like general men's ideas about like women, like bad ideas, I think have in common is like the whole rivalry thing, where it's like, women are so catty. They're always like trying to compete with each other.
Yeah, men are
I
never
think-
competing with each other, ever.
Never.
Uh-uh.
No, we're talking
Men,
Worked
Men
for 2
competing is
years
supposed to be
on
a good
a
thing.
construction project, okay? I have seen men at their worst standing there screaming, raging, but then telling me I'm unqualified to have an opinion on something because women are so emotional. And I'm like, do you
God, yeah.
understand that
Oh,
anger is an
yes.
emotion?
exactly.
But my point here was like what I recall from One Punch Man, and it's been a while. I think I don't know if there's a new season out that I haven't seen yet, but I think it's been a while since I last watched One Punch Man anime. So maybe I'm missing something here. But what I do recall is that the only significant character that is a woman that I can think of, that her only arc with another female character, that being her sister, is just like cattiness and competing with each other, and that if it's just them together, that's what I remember. Now it's been a while.
No, you're
Okay,
right.
so
Yeah, 100%.
But
you're
it's like-
remembering it mostly right. So the thing with the psychic sisters is that Tatsumaki is the older sister, and she is basically her way or the highway, and her younger sister Blizzard is basically trying to make her own thing and overcome that. Right, so there is a lot of cattiness and resentment, but it's more along the lines of an actual sibling relationship of, I'm going to protect my little sister whether she likes it or not, and the little sister going, no, I want to protect myself, thanks.
And
You know?
that's perfectly fine, but it just grates a bit wrong if that's the only female on female relationship you see, right? It's like in isolation, if there's other things going on, it's fine. And the thing is, I like One Punch Man. I love One Punch Man, actually. So it's like an overall, like, very positive thing for me, the anime.
Yeah.
But I just wish there'd be more female characters that have more significant interactions with each other, where you actually wish, like, there were a higher bar for the Bechdel test, right? It's like talk to each other without it being a diss or rivalry.
Yeah. So the in season 2, there was actually more female characters in the manga that they just chopped out that were actually part of the tournament. But season 3 should actually have a very prominent female character appear as well.
Yes.
Fingers crossed. Yes. I really don't know how season 3 is going to play out, but yeah.
Okay.
What was the other
things-
show that you wanted us to?
Oh no!
talk
Hang on.
One thing I was before we finish.
You want to say?
Before we finish, it was just I'm very impressed with One Punch Man for presenting something that was absolutely bizarre in terms of anime to me at the time, which was they presented a sexy female villain, and the hero slapped her into a bloody mess on a wall. She didn't appear again until some other arc in the manga that we haven't got to yet, where they kind of clone her and bring her back for comedy relief. It's like she's there for less than half an episode and she gets splatted on a wall.
Equality, everyone does. That ends up on the wrong side of that fist, so...
But Nasuth, what were you going to say before we finished?
I was going to ask
finished.
if instead of sisters they'd been brothers, would you have felt the same way about them?
Same relationship.
Yes and no. Because if they'd been brothers, there would have been so many other man-on-man interactions that weren't that, right? And that was my gripe.
That's fair.
It's like,
that's fair.
This plot point, perfectly fine. And it's like, I have a sister. We don't have that kind of relationship, but being the older, more controlling, I'm not my way or the highway, but I have very strong opinions. So it's like, I can see that. It's just if that's the only thing you have in there.
Right.
I think
just take something that's already good and you just wish for more.
I think if you were to gender swap the entire cast and then that was the only interaction between male characters, that's a problem again.
You'd have the same problem.
But
okay.
Yeah.
You'd have the same problem. But it's because
you'd be disappointed, right? It's like, make it at least like a rivalry between a woman and a man then, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like this is the only,
that'd be cool.
Right?
Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha.
So, okay, now what was the other anime you wanted to talk about from the list?
So that one is very interesting to me because it goes into the whole like what you're seeing and what's actually going on, right? As like not necessarily the same thing. So Chainsaw Man.
Ooh. Okay. Chainsaw Man. Knowing what I do from the manga.
Yeah, let's go with the anime for this,
I've seen the first season, so I think there's a new season or a second season that
there is a second season.
There's
I have
a
not
movie.
seen, or a movie,
coming out.
but I have not seen.
So the Bechdel test, it passes. The series features named female characters who have conversations with each other. I mean that could be like Power and Makima. And whatever the other. I can never remember what her name is.
Lady.
No, not her. I was thinking of the.
The cigarette.
Not her. It's the one that panics. I think it's like. Kenpenny or something like that. Yeah.
Hibeni.
Yeah. Anyway, the Furiosa test apparently passes. Chainsaw Man includes a strong female character with significant roles in the story. That's Power. That's just flat out Power. The Makamori test.
It has more strong female characters in this Power.
Oh, true. But like, you know, what's coming to my mind is Power. The Makamori test passes. There are female characters with their own narrative arcs that are not solely about supporting the main character's story.
Well, yeah, because Power has her own goals.
Makima doesn't pass that one.
Power
Makima
is like a really good example.
Yeah, but Makima doesn't actually technically.
Shut up.
I mean, I know that there's a thing there. It's like I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not saying you are. We would never say that.
No. I just meant like it's very obvious. Like the viewer isn't stupid.
Okay.
I would say Xeno is a bit, but you're not you.
So the Bechdel Alpha test, apparently it passes, which is fair enough. The Sexy Lamp test, it passes. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be Makima all the way through. The Toxic Masculinity test comes back mixed, which is interesting. While Chainsaw Man showcases characters that exhibit traits associated with toxic masculinity, the series also engages with these traits critically. Characters are often shown to grow and learn from these experiences, challenging traditional notations of masculinity and showcasing vulnerability and emotional depth. Yeah, I kind of feel it actually passes that.
And that's the reason why I asked it, because I also feel in terms of objectification of women, it's not the viewer that does it, it's Denji.
Yeah.
Who's really immature and learning and outgrowing that too, right? But it's like his view specifically and not the objective, more neutral, like you as a viewer watching it. And it's the same with these characters in this messed up world where you can really see also why toxic masculinity might come out more.
Still exist,
Yeah. And just like coming to terms with that and figuring out and struggling with that. But it's not presented as this is how the world should be. It's presented as a flaw. And so I think
and it
Chainsaw Man
definitely
is
works
very
against him in some
interesting
cases
that way.
too.
Yes, it does. Yes.
And not
But
just him, like
Speaking of characters that objectify the women and it's presented as a flaw, Xeno, bring up High School DxD. You know you want to.
I want to point out we are past our normal time frame. I mean,
I know this is just me doing
this.
If
we're doing this, we're doing it like this is the last one we're doing, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Because it's come on.
Right. So High School DxD. This is weird. So passes the Bechdel test. Passes the Bechdel Alpha test. I argue it does pass the Makamori test with Akano. Apparently not applicable with the Furiosa test. It does not pass the toxic masculinity test. And
It also fails the Sexy Lamp test.
Come on, our main character powers up. Our main character powers up by the mechanic of touching boobs. Okay.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Yes, and he also powers up by the technique of focusing on his horniness. Okay.
So is that just touching boobs or thinking of boobs?
Thinking of boobs, touching boobs, being horny, all of it. His desires powering him up. One of his biggest power-ups in the early series comes from his romantic interest's older brother. Yeah, his romantic interest's older brother actually turning to him and saying, "You know, my sister's titties are actually quite epic. Your power is to double your power doubles the power."
Conversation goes.
See, your power doubles the power of things. Imagine if you could imbue your doubling power upon my sister's titties.
No, that's not okay. Now, if we're going
How
to
is that
make
not what it goes like?
if we're going to make Anna revolt at the concept of this series, we're at least going to tell it as it actually happens, right? So there is a villain who has the polar opposite power of our main protagonist, and he steals half of our opponent's power, right? He then so one of the other leaders of the factions, or of the Fallen Angels, turns around and says, like, you know, he has the ability to halve things. What if he halves the romantic love interests bust by half? And the fear of her boobs getting smaller is what powers him up to then kick this guy's ass.
Yeah, no, that's a later bit. That's not the very early bit. That's not like in the first 6 episodes bit that I'm talking about. Where he
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
When he first meets Rieza's older brother, the very first conversation they have.
That doesn't happen until episode 12.
Yeah, no, but okay, you know what I mean. That's okay. But it's long before he ever meets the white dragon. It's long before
Can we move on?
that point.
Can we move on from the show? This is not passing. This is not passing Anna's vibe check. It's fine.
Okay, fair enough. I do apologise, but
is like incest even a gender issue?
no, it is.
Oh my God.
No. Pierce's older brother is married and is not actually doing that in a serious way. It was.
I don't think it is.
Well, no, everyone knows married
like,
people can't do it.
No. He's very much a thing. Very much played for the thing of I'm going to motivate this kid. Not I'm not objectifying my sister. That kind of thing.
All right, let's move on. Let's Thaylien's ruined everything. Let's move on to the supporter questions. Let's get the show over with.
I've ruined Z.
Let's save Anna from Thaylien some more. So supporter questions. Rugal says, "Did you enjoy this episode?" I'm not quite sure if I did. There's a quick, easy, and surefire way to let us know. Hit the like button and leave a comment below. Zrugal asks, Xeno, what's your favorite snack to eat while watching anime?
It's wasabi peas, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
It's a really good snack choice. I like that.
It also stops me from snacking because I can't have too many in one go because like my sinuses just go like, what the fuck did you just do?
Wait, wasabi peas? Like peas?
Yeah.
With wasabi?
Yeah, so dried peas.
They're like freeze-dried. Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
What do you guys have to snack while watching anime?
I don't generally.
I see M&Ms and something.
But yeah, probably some chips or something. Some crisps.
Yep. Anna's like, I don't snack.
No, that's not true. It's very, very standard fare, and it's usually Nick who buys the snacks in our household, so it's whatever he eats, which is way too many sour cream chips, potato chips, ice cream, chocolate.
Fair. Ricky says, do you enjoy Notice Me Senpai as well? There's a quick and easy surefire way how to support. Go to patreon.com/search for Xenogelion and provide as low as $1 per month or a one-time donation to help the editor of that show, which is Nasuth. Yeah.
What?
We're just reading out what the thing says, right? Ricky asks, Nasuth, what's your favorite snack to eat while watching anime? And how can I make it Bean Boozled? TM. Is it through Patreon that doesn't support the... And is it through your Patreon that doesn't support the editing of Notice Me Senpai, but does support the editor? Yes.
No, technically no. The Bean Boozled is not a reward for editing or for Patreon. It's only a reward for Twitch subs. So you're gonna go sub on twitch.tv/Nasuth.
And that way you can force him to have it as his favorite snack watching anime.
Yeah.
And that Gumby impersonator, do you also enjoy being beaten by a wet spaghetti noodle by your girlfriend because she has a twin sister and you got confused and slept with her dad? Well, that's how it feels to drive the Ford F-250. What the fuck? That Gumby impersonator says, totally real Gumby asks, Xeno and Nasuth, what do you think is Thaylien's favorite snack to eat while watching you two argue about anime he hasn't watched? Rum.
Great answer. Correct.
Okay.
Rum-filled jelly babies.
Let's move on to the comments. Right, okay, so moving on to the comments from last week. First of all, we have the news. Drugal says, Night of the Living Cat sounds interesting. I don't think I'll watch it, but it is unique. Anna, for your benefit, imagine a zombie... is it a movie? I think it's a movie, isn't it?
No, it was a manga, I believe, but...
okay.
Or not novel,
it's
either way.
It's getting an adaptation.
It's getting an anime.
Okay. It's getting an anime, but imagine like Night of the Living Dead, except for cats. So people get turned into cats.
And if you cuddle a cat, it will infect you. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like Eugene Ionesco's Play the Rhinoceroses, only less Nazis.
Yes.
Sure. I have no idea what that
everyone gets turned into cats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, everyone gets turned to cats if you cuddle a cat, and of course, there are obviously going to be some people that go, yes.
Yep.
But what's the downside? Where's the scary part?
You can no longer be human.
You're not
your opposable thumbs
anymore.
Yeah, you can't open the cat food.
What if you really like
cats
gaming?
Cats have it great.
As long as there's humans left,
take care of you.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Then he goes all feral and it's horrible.
Right.
My dad always says he wants to be like, if there's such a thing as like having a second life, being reborn, he wants to be reborn as a cat that is being taken care of by Nick and me.
Yep, totally makes sense.
Yep.
But if there's no humans, that's, yeah.
Yep. Zrugel also says, I probably won't see any movie in the theater because there isn't a theater in me. Strong Michelle says, wasn't really sure how to react to the catastrophe anime. Is it supposed to be a comedy? Catpocalypse, rather. Is it supposed to be a comedy, a horror, a mix? It could surprise us and just be a slice of life. Yeah, I'm interested. Do you guys think the McDonald's anime is a marketing ploy, or is it just for the memes? Yes. So
can it be both?
McDonald's.
Both.
So for Anna, for your benefit, McDonald's are doing a campaign where they're rebranding in select locations to McDonald's, which is the anime equivalent for copyright reasons.
Yes, it's the parody.
Yeah, and they're doing it as a marketing ploy.
Collaboration, yeah.
So, well, it's not really a collaboration because it's a parody. Who are you collaborating with?
It's if Devil's a part-timer.
It's not just Devil's a part-timer that does McDonald's. Loads of them do McDonald's.
Yeah, but this is specifically Devil's a part-timer.
Oh.
Okay, whatever.
Does that mean that if you do that, and you have in the past used McDonald's as a
that's something that I'm interested in.
That you're getting copyright? Right?
Well, I can only think that if they establish establish McDonald's as a brand.
Yeah, but also I don't think they can do it.
Retroactively.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to do it post.
Retroactively. Yeah. So it's just
in America they would try
parodies. Of course they would.
Right. Strong Michelle also says Thalien's face during the live-action narrative bit was priceless. I probably won't watch it either way, but I hope it's good. The more bad adaptations there are, the more people will think that it's just anime is bad. Right, and then moving on to the cast. Effin' Door, Xeno's not safe for work meme was the exact scene I dropped that fucking show. I can't remember what the fuck what did I do?
I don't remember what it was now either. Whatever your meme was last week.
Kitty. Strong Michelle says, I'm not saying censorship is good, but I think it can be good. Be a good tool. I mean, I'm glad I watched Golden Kamuy alone. There wasn't even TNA in it. It was just guys running around refusing to put clothes on. Lol. Yeah. I censored the rest of my comment. Not really. Zrugel says, I don't think localization is censorship. I think localization and censorship are similar, but it's the same-ish process. The difference is the intent. Localization is what to do to try to make things more easily accessible or understandable, but censorship is to keep people from seeing or hearing something. I agree with Thaylien. Dende, comment sent. Okay. I guess it's pretty.
Okay. Yes. I wonder who censored that.
Okay. I guess I'm pretty lenient with localization and censorships, but it depends on the content and the intended audience. For instance, we can agree that One Piece was hit too hard. I want to appreciate the original, but if not understanding the original work hinders someone's enjoyment, then sure, localize away. Sorry, I don't know. I think that's supposed to be a way, not away.
No, localize away. Like, go crazy. Localize all you want.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay. Right. Like with Pokemon and the donuts instead of onigiri. Also, for censorship, I'm genuinely against it. But I don't want the lack of censorship to be used as an excuse to push the envelope. I'm sure we could all think of an anime or two that hit things too far, whatever the topic. The envelope is pushed a different amount in different cultures, and that's not an East versus West sort of thing. That's global and cultural. And just as I think the original work should be popular everywhere, no matter how much you trim away, sometimes... No. What? Did I miss a line?
Should be respected everywhere.
Should be respected. Yeah, sorry, should be respected.
Sorry, respected. Yes,
yeah, I think the culture should be respected too, and by that I mean just because something is popular in one place doesn't mean it's going to be popular everywhere, no matter how much you trim away. Sometimes it's better just to leave a series alone. Yep. And then the last point, I think I counted 2 edit cuts, but I didn't know I was looking for them. Also, you have a good editor, someone should give that guy a raise. No, don't give him ideas.
I'm trying. I'm trying to give him a raise.
Right. And now on to the best part of the show, the memes. Let's get on with the memes. Come
Absolutely.
On. Right.
Yeah. So we say it every time, but we'll say it again just for you guys. These all of our memes come from Reddit, and we try to make sure we have a backup copy in the links below so that you can view them in case the people at Reddit delete them. And we also
they often do.
Yes. We also take up to 6 memes from you, the viewers, on the Kanpai Cast Discord. So come in every week and show us what's funny, because we certainly don't know.
And this week we have 4 viewer memes, so let's get right in. Let's get right to the first one.
Oh my fucking god!
We got to accept an award, but at 8, but kill Goku at 9. Well done.
God.
Oh my goodness.
The protagonist. Oh my
god. When you call him stupid 3 times a day and wonder why he hasn't fallen for you yet.
Oh my god.
Cinderella chick.
Oh dear.
Mom, don't hit my grandchildren, they'll be traumatized. My mom when I was young. Totally smash.
Oh. Right.
Relatable.
Toxic masculinity.
Hey, we got another Dragon Ball meme, kind of. You can't defeat me. I know, but he can. Can't write the name. Can't write Bertold's name. Oh, poor Bertold.
I have no idea who that is.
Boruto in there.
Oh, I cut off this meme. Oh man. That's weird. It's my boss at a funeral, and then she's looking in the grave and says, "I'm sorry. I can't believe you've done this to me. You're leaving us short-staffed." Oh, to fix that.
Am I not seeing like the entire picture?
Yeah,
no, you're not.
Yeah, it cut it off for some reason.
Nasuth broke it.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, this one I don't get.
Where's my mouse? There's my mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have magic hair? Magic hands? Do animals talk to you? Were you poisoned, cursed, kidnapped, or enslaved? And do people assume all your problems solved? Our problems are solved because a big strong man saved you.
Showed up.
Yep.
Showed up.
He
Yeah,
is a princess.
Yep. Vegeta is the best princess.
Vegeta is best princess.
It was a scene from a nightmare. For a moment,
Oh, not this one.
I understand what I was looking at. It was impossible to focus on it. I was fumbling and I had no plan. And she looked wrong somehow. She was trash, but I was awake.
I'll only let this one go a couple times.
For a moment, I didn't understand what I was looking at. It was impossible to focus on it. A sense of
Is that
deja vu
Aqua?
washed over me.
Yes.
This conversation before, she was trash, but I was awake.
Okay, that's enough of that.
It was a scene from a nightmare.
No!
Anyway.
Why is it cutting all these off?
Why are you doing that, Nasuth? What have you done wrong here?
So this one was they teased season 2, when we'll see season 2, and one of the characters has a 1999 shirt, or 1989 shirt, and so clearly the second season's coming in.
Of Bocce. Just gonna add that part in.
Bocce the Rock,
It's
yeah.
Bocce the Rock, yeah.
It's probably cut off a whole load of these.
Did it do this one too? That's good enough. That's all you really need to see. That's all you really need to see. I'll have to figure out why it's doing this for next week.
My snake is gonna love you.
That's really all there is.
That's so good.
Oh my god.
Right. So on to Thayliens, which should hopefully not be cut off.
A vending machine? There really is a reincarnation story for everything. Is there even one thing that hasn't already been done? Catgirls.
Oh.
There's no reincarnated as a Catgirl anime.
I'm sure that's not true.
I was gonna say that I can't imagine that.
It should be fine for you Gorgons to live here, so long as we don't gaze into your eyes. Are you sure that won't be an issue? Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh dear. Oh dear. What the?
What the
What
fuck?
in the world?
I have a question
no idea.
now. That
Only
just
one?
occurred to me. Yes, just one.
Okay.
I always describe this kind of running as Naruto running, but it just
But
occurs
is
to
it
me
actually
that
penguin running?
yeah, is everyone in Naruto just penguin running?
Quite
Yes.
It's
possibly.
true.
Was that Attack on Titan music?
I think so.
Pretty sure
Okay.
it was.
'Cause I have no idea what the reference was. Okay.
This anime looks mid. Don't mock it till you try it. Okay, I watched 3 episodes and I hated it. The 3 episodes were such bullshit, it gets better later on. I watched all 50 episodes, it did not get better. Shaking my head, don't watch it if you don't like it.
Oh my god!
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna put that in an episode of Notice Me Senpai, but it got shown to me too late for me to add it. So
You might want to watch the next one multiple times.
oh dear. Okay.
Okay.
Should have told me to loop it.
Once is enough. Once is enough.
Oh, what's what?
I
What's
will
what?
watch it. I will watch
Wait.
it more privately.
Anna, have you seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
So, no, but Nick keeps trying to show me JoJo things out of context, and it's actually the one anime that I only realized in hindsight I should have asked about, because that anime and gender roles is certainly its own topic.
Yes.
So technically, because of part 6, it actually passes all of the
But only
tests.
part 6.
Otherwise, no. It would have passed a good chunk of them without part 6, but it's only because of part 6. You know, there you go. Right.
Jojo.
It certainly challenges male gender roles.
It does do
Oh,
that.
100%. 100%. Right, so, finally found my captain. No, you found your family. Seeing the serious.
Family.
Write a strong female character. Hollywood. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you. versus Japan. Alcohol is the best medicine. Burn is amazing. Zach's the name off.
My God.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
I already watched the edgiest anime. Do you? I watched Gushing Over Magical Girls in a big bed with my wife.
Wow.
Right.
Shitsa. Shitsa.
That was
Another
a JoJo meme.
JoJo meme.
Oh my word.
Right. And then my last meme.
No, not my Bochi.
Oh no. Oh no.
The amount of work that went into this.
Oh my word.
I'm sorry, Anna. I'm sorry, but I had to share it.
This is like Nick showing me JoJo's random snippets because I have no idea what I just watched.
So it's a mix between two anime, Bocchi the Rock, which is fantastic, and I do recommend highly.
I thought that looked like Bocchi from Bocchi, though.
So good.
Yeah.
And Gundam Witch from Mercury, which again is
Which
another
is also
brilliant.
one of the better animes of the last 5 years, which I'm looking
And
at.
has really well written female characters.
Yeah,
Okay.
so both of those would be brilliant for the test that we didn't do. But yeah, so that's it for the memes. That's it for the show. Anna, it's been absolutely lovely having you on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having
anytime.
me. And can I just say one thing? It's like I really appreciate the amount of work and prep you did into that. It was very impressive that you took it so seriously that you came up with like not one but basically 2 new ways of looking at this, 2 new tests. So very cool.
Yeah. Well,
We're definitely professionals.
Again, oh god, you and your bloody. Anyway, right. Again, thank you very much. And now it's time to bottoms up and Kanpai!
Everyone.